Hello, welcome back to March's Planning Mess. I thought it's probably high time that I do a first quarter review. Um, there have been several changes that I've made as time has gone by, and so I just thought we'd kind of get a look at everything that I'm working on, um, all the planners I'm working in, what I'm using them for, how it's going, etc. So we have a big stack here of things. I'm going to turn it this way so that we can see a little bit better. So this is everything that I have kind of worked with on and off this year, and let's just go biggest to smallest. I think that might be the easiest way to do this. So I'll take all of those out of the way. So this is the 2025 Hobonichi Cousin, which was originally what I planned to use for everything. And after I got it and after I finished using my AVEC from 2024, I had only gotten it in June and realized how thick and chunky and heavy it was getting. I decided it was too big for that. And so I decided to dedicate this to memory planning. And so that is what this has been. And that is what this is continuing to be. I have yet to do anything with these lovely vertical weekly spreads. I have ideas, I have no time. So they will very likely just remain empty. I did fill in my months up until June because I had a school schedule that I knew what was going to be for the rest of the year. But that section is just going to have to remain blank, unfortunately, because I just don't, I don't have the time. I've found that with all the other things I'm doing, this is something that I catch up with, a couple weeks, sometimes even a month at a time. In fact, I've got everything printed for March to put in here, and I've really only mostly finished up to February. But we're just going to flip through so you can see really quickly. I'm just kind of doing maybe more of like a junk journal style where I just tape things in. I'm mostly going through my Facebook and my pictures, pulling out the stuff that I want to remember, printing it off and putting it in here. So memories are popping up from Facebook and pictures that I've taken, the weather. Sometimes there's not much to put down there. Sometimes I have some ephemera. It just kind of depends. Some days have more than others. And I don't have time to really make sure that this is as filled in and lovely as it could be if I had more time for crafting. But it's just a way to kind of look back on the year and remember kind of what was going on, what was I into, how did I spend my time. So that's kind of what this has been. I have not regretted the fact that I didn't use this. As much as I absolutely love the concept of this book, I really wish that they would make the same thing in a B6. That would be a little bit more my speed, but even then I think it probably would still be a bit much. So I have a little bit to fill in here. We had a lot going on in this day. So it's printed, but it has not been cut out. And March is empty. And April is empty, but I have printed it and I'm ready to go, and that's going to take a couple hours of my time probably to get that put in. I do have some new stickers that I purchased to kind of help this flow a little bit, but I think the one consistent thing has been my my B-reel that I print off for every day, so I can kind of get an idea of what's happening in life. So that is the Hobonichi Cousin, and I do like this cover. I'm not a fan of the color and the and the cartoons on it, but I like how slim it is. So it's made it something that's easy to transport, but you can see like how thick that gets. That's 2 months worth and it's already fluffed out quite a bit. Okay, so maybe we'll just go rather than in size order, but in order of how my brain was working. So I decided to go with Paper Tess with a B6 full year. And there's a lot of things I love about it. I love that everything for the month is between the two calendars, the weeks, the month, and the days are all together. So I do love that about it. I love a lot of her things, and I loved that she had all these pages in the back for tracking things. But because it's pretty large, it's 600 pages, and that's even thicker than a cousin, I did soon quickly realize that it was probably not what I wanted to carry around with me everywhere I went. And so I kind of did some adjusting, and this is like in December last year, because I ordered my cousin in early September. I probably ordered this maybe early October or mid-October, and it was like early December that I made the decision that this was not going to work for my everyday carry, but I'm still using it. So what am I using it for? I've got these things set up for like mood trackers and stuff, but I haven't used it because it's not my everyday carry. I'm not in it all the time. But what I have decided to use it for, and I've been faithful with, originally I was tracking bills and stuff here, and I've changed direction because, again, this isn't with me all the time and I'm getting behind. So I'm doing journaling. So I started off with this format, which I'd seen somebody do, and I really loved it. But I just fairly quickly just kind of abandoned that, and it's mostly writing. And yeah, there's not too much. I have stickers for like each of the days, because that was one thing that I missed, was that the days are all blank, which is good and bad. Some people love it, some people hate it. The stickers work quite well, although I wish I had gotten some washi ones, because these are a little thick. And I do like how a washi sticker goes in. But anyway, you can see I've done pretty well. In fact, I am pretty much caught up. So this is today, and I will do journaling about this tomorrow morning when I have my morning routine. So it's worked quite well for this. I like this size. I've got some thoughts about next year, as I always do, and I'm just trying to write them down or print them off, so that when it gets to be fall and it's time to order something, that I will hopefully have thought through some things better. So this is working for what I'm using it for. This has been the year of 25 journals, and that is okay. Okay, so what we're going to go to next is my next train of thought. And this is my Sterling Ink N2 Vertical Planner. This is my everyday carry, or I should say it was, because I have pivoted. Not because it's not working for me, but because I got the compact, which I'm glad I did, because it's thin and light and easy to carry, but it doesn't quite have enough pages in the back. And so I need more like a page, or at least a half a page dedicated per day. And I just don't have enough in here to make that happen. So I paused and I started a different one for the second quarter. I will come back to this third quarter, because I should have enough with these cute little Hobonichi notebook things that are made to go along with your weeks, Hobonichi weeks. So I think I'll have enough pages to finish. So I'm just having to pause with this. And I paused because I got sick and all of my to-dos got backed up, and they were all piled up on top of each other, and it was overwhelming, and I had to just go somewhere else because I couldn't face it. But let's go ahead and do a flip through of this, because I do love this. And what my dream setup would be if they would do 6-month versions of this, because then it would give me something this thick with half of I would love all the months together, honestly, but half of the weeks and all of the blank pages in the back for my to-dos. But they don't do that with this size. They do it with B6. And so that may be my go-to next year. We'll see. I have a lot of ideas. Okay. They did have a calendar here. I wasn't thrilled with it, so I printed this off. This is a printable that's free from Coffee Monsters Co. And I just resized it till it fit in here. This was a blood pressure log. I haven't really had to keep track of that, so I've kind of abandoned that. Here's some goals. I'm not super good at setting goals. I think it was good for me to just at least lay them out and kind of think through how I was going to do some of them. And I've been pretty good with keeping up with a lot of these, so I'm happy. This is my weather tracker. these pages in this format, with them being so squished in and close together, it was hard to find something that was worth tracking. So doing my temperatures has worked. Now I am behind. I need to finish February, March, and the beginning of April, but I have all of the weather information logged, so it will not be hard to do this. I'll just need to sit down and do it, because I would really love to see how the colors change over the year. I think that's going to be a really fun thing to look back on. Okay, I meant to keep track of symptoms and things, and I have just, maybe it's just because I'm not dealing with a lot of symptoms that are bugging me, but I haven't really kept up with it. And that's okay. I have recently come across a way to track the books that you're reading. So maybe that will be something I will do. I'll like backfill, because I am keeping track of my books, and they are currently in the back of here. But the way I've printed these off, these little book reviews, they're kind of big for the space, but I have these, plus I have like this showing the dates that I was reading them. Anyway, I need to rethink that, because I think that would be kind of cool to see the books here. But for right now, this space is empty. I'm just not doing much habit tracking at this point in my life. So I did start, they give you December and the monthly, but they don't give you December weekly. So I did get this mid-December, and I did start it mid-December, and I just used some of the blank pages in the back to, oh no, I didn't use blank pages for weeklies. I used it for to-do lists. I actually printed off my own version of what the weeklies looked like on some clear stickers, and then I put those clear stickers on top of Post-it notes that I posted in here, so I could use those pages and really mess around with it. I loved it. It was awesome, and I was glad to just toss them, because they made it bulky as soon as I used them up. So this is what my monthly spreads are looking like. I was really afraid this would be so small that it would be hard to have room to write what I need, but I've learned just getting a very fine tip pen, I can write small enough to make it fit, and it has really worked fine. I don't have complaints like I was afraid I would. So this is, for those of you that are not familiar with this size, this Hobonichi Week size, here's a B6 in comparison. It is just a touch taller than a B6, but it's narrower, and it's narrower than a B6 Slim. So yeah, it's maybe a good inch and a quarter slimmer. And this is the size of the Hobonichi Weeks, which is, it's the same size as the cover, but the pages, there's a little bit of a gap around the edge of the pages. So these pages are larger than these pages, if you can see that well. But anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. So that's my flip through. I did go ahead and put in all of my important dates as they come up, because I do, again, I carry this with me. So as I'm making appointments, they're going right in here. And like in December, well, they give you January. Let's see, where's January? And so whatever appointments I have for January, I'm putting in, and then any other ones that are, you know how sometimes they want to do an appointment a year and ahead, then I'll just write those in here, because I'll have it'll be the one place that everything is. Okay, so let's look at the weeklies. This is how they go. So at the top up here, I dedicated some space for my weather. I do an icon for the weather, and then a temperature, high and low. And then this is how I'm kind of using this space. I do need a space to time block and see what I'm going to do. And you'll see some weeks that's more important than others. Some weeks I fill it in a little more than others. But it's there, and it just helps me see, where do I have gaps? Where do I have free time? Where do I have time to do things? So, and then I will usually, the stickers are after the pen, because I don't want to put sticker down when I need to write something. So the stickers, and this is where things got crazy. You can see it says stomach bug. I actually got the stomach bug this day. Shoo, yeah, Marta's sick. So this is where everything fell apart, because this was our spring break. I had this whole list of things I wanted to get done. Didn't happen because we were all sick. So, and this is the week I tried to get back into it, and I just got overwhelmed. I filled this part out, and I just didn't even touch my to-dos. Filled this part out, and at that point, I have moved into a different one. But you can see, like, a lot of this I'm filling in ahead of time, as I know what my schedule is. And so, you know, It's fine. This section, I probably, because I like this book so much, I will probably, when I move back into here in July, I'll probably backfill all of these. I'll put in the weather, I'll put in all the stuff because I want this book to be complete. So let's go to the end of the weeks and you can see these are the blank or daily pages. These were December, week 50, 51, and then and 52 I think was on there as well. And then this was a monthly tracker. It was pretty good about keeping up with that in January. This was a January week 1 to-do list. Week 2 I actually used both pages. Week 3 I did like this for, and I love how this looks, but this was a way to minimize writing things over and over, like a running to-do would do, and it was a way to make it look cute, and so it involved a lot of sticky notes, and that's kind of where my overwhelm came when all those sticky notes piled up. Here I thought I might use 2 pages for my monthly tracker, and you can see I did some things well and some things I completely ignored. There's some more. Here's my March monthly tracker. Pretty much completely stopped that, so I haven't even bothered to do one for April. I don't think it's something I need to do. And you can just see I'm like using this less and less. And so here, this one is complete. I filled it out because I thought part of it, I was like, okay, the sticky notes are overwhelming me as much as I love this idea. So maybe I just need to give a dedicated space. And when I gave myself a dedicated space, this is after I had tried a different book, I realized that that dedicated space was in no way big enough to accommodate what my needs were. So it was really this layout that made me say, okay, we're going to abandon ship and use the other book for a while. So this is on hold. I will use this again. I just got this. This is a Hobonichi cover, and it feels so nice. It's got room for cards, if that's your thing. It's got room for little books and stuff in the back. It's got a pen loop that you can like clip your pen on. And then this is a pocket that you can put stuff in, which I probably won't put anything thick in there because I don't want to be bulky. But I've got here, so these are the stickers I have bought for when I start in July, and I'll give every page its date sticker, so I know it's helpful for me to be like, this is how I'm planning Sunday and Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, so I can flip back and forth and plot my tasks down as I feel like I will use them. So let's see, what's the next thing I'm going to show you? Okay, I'm going to show you these 2 books. So this is what I had purchased for my worship planner. And so let's pull this out of here. So it comes in 2 books. This is a Hobonichi Techo. This is the A6 size. It has daily and monthly pages, no weekly pages. And I had purchased this for my weekly worship journal because I thought I could fit everything I needed on each of the daily pages. And I use the monthly pages to do, to like keep track of what I'm studying. And so that was working fine for the first 2 months. But as I got into it, I got so, like here you can see, I started running out of space and I was having to like squish my writing or write less or really tiny there. And I didn't really want to bleed over to other pages. And so after 2 months, I just thought, no, I feel very cramped in my style. Like this is a Bible study. I would have filled out more had I had the room. And so when it got to the end of February, I just said, enough is enough. And so I looked during these last couple weeks of February, I was looking what's going to work best. And I had kind of toyed with the idea with I think it's Take a Note planner system. I think it's A5 size, but it has like 2 columns. Anyway, there were lots of things I was looking at, and I just couldn't find a format that I wanted. Like I didn't really want weekly pages, but I needed a place to put prayer requests that was separate from where I was writing. And I just had all these things that I couldn't find a planner to work. So my solution to that was to just get this. This is an N1 size. This is Traveler's Notebook size. In comparison with the Hobonichi Weeks, you can see it's just a little wider. It is as tall as an A5 notebook, but it is narrower. And it's narrower than an A5 Slim would be. So this was just a blank notebook. And so what I did was at the beginning, I got some washi that had dates on it, and it came in a set. And so it had these rolls of like the weekly spread. So I thought, okay, I'll give myself 2025 there. So I started making, you can see I started it in March, started making these calendars so I can keep track of what I'm studying. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I don't need it to be a calendar. I just need a line to write in it. So I had this washi tape with all the dates on it. So that's my plan for the rest of those months. I also don't know if I'm going to need the rest of those months. I might fill this up by September. I don't know. I'm writing in it a lot. But here I moved all of my prayer requests from my previous books into this one. So I used stickers. I wrote things out. Places where I had pictures, I put those in. And then like these, I actually like tore out my lists and glued them in because I like to kind of like look over these as I'm praying, so I'm remembering things. So beginning of March, here we go. So I took notes on a lesson I was going to do at church with my youth. And then this was like that day, the sermon notes that I had. So it's like 4 pages already, 4.5 pages. And then the next day, and that was only 1 page. So you can see it's nice to not have it each page already marked out for you. So these stickers, and I've got them on Amazon, have been really handy. And these are the same ones I got for when I'm going to start using this again in July. They're washi, they're thin, and they're not specific to any year. So like you can mark on here if it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But this is a washi roll that has the date, and this is a washi roll that's just got these. So I just do that. It kind of makes a nice divider for me. So you can see like, here's a Bible study. We had a bunch of prayer requests. I put that in. These were the notes from the Bible study, and then we're on to the next day. So every day has as much or as little as I want to do. Here's a place for prayer requests. Like if I'm at church and the kids are telling me stuff, I just pop it in as a sticker. So it kind of jumps out because it's hard to have, this is not a disc bound journal where I can just keep adding pages to the prayer request section and keep those all together. They have to kind of be mixed in eventually. I didn't plan on doing that, but I'm not minding it because it's a sticker. It jumps out at me easily. So you can see this is going in. Like here's several days I was sick and I didn't even get up and do anything with this. So I just put in the information so I could plot that time period and didn't have stickers just hanging around and just keep moving. So this is working great. And then like here, this was a 7 days of prayer insert that was in our bulletin at church. And so I just like every day I just cut it out and put it in there as I was praying for those things. So it's really given me the freedom to just, like here's a whole study we did at church on spiritual gifts. It's given me the freedom to do as much or as little. Like today it was very short, and this day was really short on how much I was going to write. So I don't have to worry about it when I run out of this book, no matter if it's the beginning of this year or next year. Let's say I end up, the end of December is here. Well, I can start doing some monthly pages in the middle and just move this tab and fit January and February, however it's going to go. I'm happy with this. I do have an A5 book by Wonderland 222 that I had bought originally to be a memory keeper instead of my Hobonichi Cousin. So when this one ends, I'll probably use it just so I have a use for it, and then I'll probably go back to this size because I do actually kind of like this size a little better, but I hate to have things sitting around that are potentially going to go to waste. So I did this, but that meant that this book was empty, and that bothered me. And so I thought, well, if I have to waste this one, I have to waste this one. So I kind of chucked it in a drawer. This one, I was like, I don't want to waste this. What can I use this for? And so it just kind of dawned on me, watching a lot of people's use of the Hobonichi Cousin. They don't necessarily use it as a planner. They'll write notes in there. And so then they'll use these index pages that are here. Like this is just, if I'm using this in a planner, I'll use this for habit tracking, and I'll write down the habits vertically here, and then I'll check off which days I do them. It works great for that sort of thing. But what they were doing was saying, okay, on this page, which is June the 3rd, we had, I wrote about a physics lecture. And so they'd find June, here's June the 3rd, and they'd write physics lecture on this date. And however they used it, because, they're just, the date on the page is basically the page number, if that makes sense. And so I had seen several videos of that, and I thought, I could do this for my recipes because during the first quarter, I was counting macros. I still am, but I was doing a cut. And so it was really helpful to know like what meals really kind of met a third of my goals for the day, especially like my protein and fat goals. So this is what I decided to do. So I gave July and August to breakfast. And so every recipe I wrote down, I just kind of wrote a quick macro amounts here so I could reference it easy. But when you get to, here's July, here's all the ingredients, the amounts, and then total macros and calories. Oh, this one I didn't actually write it out completely for. But you can see that's how I did that. And then that section will be empty until I find more recipes to add to it. And I'm not doing a cut right now, so this is not as important, but I'll pick this up again the next time I do, which might be July. So then here's my section for lunch. And so I've got all my lunch recipes in there that worked really well for me. And then here's supper, and these are my supper recipes. So this book is dedicated to this. I won't use it for anything else because it's working really well as a quick reference when I'm meal planning. So that got used. This one didn't. And again, I had a little bit of guilt, but I just, sometimes you have to let things go. If it just doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. So when I was sick, when my everyday carry, this one right here, got to be overwhelming because it was full of to-dos that I hadn't gotten done, I actually had found, I was overwhelmed by a bunch of stuff that was hanging around in my house. And I found this notepad that was like a check-off list. And I went through every room in my house and I filled out a list of everything that needed to happen in that room for it to be back to normal. And I didn't have anywhere to stick it in here. And so I remembered this book in the back of my mind. I thought this can be my household to-do book. I just kind of came up with that idea. So I had like 4 pages of these. So I opened this up to the date, slapped them in there, and kind of carried this around the house with me to get some stuff done. And anyway, I used it like that for a while. And then eventually I decided to use this as a planner, but I need a weekly spread. Well, how was I going to achieve that? Well, all of March, I had not used this. I had been using this. So all of my dailies in March were empty. And so that was enough dailies to get through 3 months worth of weeklies with some to spare. And so I sat down in like an hour and a half and I just drew out weekly spreads. And I had these stickers from Sterling Ink sitting around for redating planners. And so I just got it set up for April. And so here's my weeklies for April. And then I can go over here to my dailies and it gives me this much space to write out things, to make lists. I find myself doing things like, this is a grading scorecard for the class I was doing. This is a list of things to grab before I run out the door. Here's a shopping list for art supplies for that class. It's just kind of giving me, it's not pretty, it's not cute, and that's okay. As much as I want it to be, it's not going to be. And I've even gone in and put a couple stickers in just for fun, for grins and giggles. But this is working out quite well. So this is today. I don't have too many more things to do, but I just ran to Hobby Lobby and got all the things on my list. So that was good. And when I plan out tomorrow, I've got space to do it. I don't have any plans immediately because it was going to be a hot lunch day for me at the school. But I've had a surgery that's not letting me lift things for a couple days. So that got canceled. And so I have a day to do things at the house that don't require lifting. And so as I think of things, I write them down and those days. And here's some of my my Post-it notes from my other planner. This is just like typically what I would do on a Sunday, just kind of a brain jog. And I'll just move it when I write down what I actually am going to do. I'll write it down here and then I'll move the sticker to the next week. So it's always there and I'm not writing on the sticker. So that's kind of what's happened here. So just a quick flip through of this book for anyone that's curious what it's like. You have your you have yearly section, which is like this indexing area. And I filled it out just for like verse mapping because I was really into that for a little while. And I haven't really had the time to do that recently, but it's there should I ever want to pick it up. And so then you have your monthly pages. And those have switched over now to to-dos rather than tracking what I'm reading and studying. And this was the next month, but I had, because for my the way that my Bible study lessons go from my church, they start Saturday. And so my week goes Saturday to Friday, which is a very odd setup, but I wanted to set this up. And so of course this starts January 1. So the week had started on Saturday, the 28th, and Sunday the 29th, and Monday the 30th, and Tuesday. So it was like, yeah, Wednesday was the first day in here. So I had these extra pages, I whited out and made them available to write down what I was doing for worship. And then I went on a trip and forgot it for a couple days. But anyway, this is, you can see some days I used it a lot, some days I hardly used it. And then I got to that point, I guess I showed you that earlier, where it just got to be too much. So yeah, and we've walked through, you can see kind of how that went. We walked through these weeklies, we've walked through the dailies that I've used. So this, because it's a 6-month, I'll finish up April, I'll have May and June, and then when this is done, then I can go back and start using this again. So I think that's probably the best use of my money and the best use of my time to try and use what I have and make it work. The A6 size is very small for me. I am shocked that I'm able to make it work as well. These are some of the stickers I've been using. Not a lot of, but I just got them. But they're kind of like sun, moon, star, world, astronomy based. So anyway, it's an A6 size, so it's fitting in here nicely. This is a cover from Hobonichi that I got off of Amazon, and I just absolutely love it. I don't know if you can see because this shiny thing is on it, but it's like an ink drawing of like the woods, and it's a famous artist's drawing or painting. So, and then I got the clear cover on cover because this is like a nylon, and I didn't want it to get dirty. And I do love these because my thick, chunky pens fit in there. And for anyone that's curious, this is a Pilot 4+1. So it's got 4 colors of ink plus a pencil. This is the pencil right here, and this under here is an eraser. This really meets my needs for almost everything that I do in my planners. Okay, got a few more things to go through here, and then we'll be done. So because I stopped doing my finance stuff in my journal, my Paper Test B6, I had already previously made this back in the day when I thought my Hobonichi cousin was going to be my main carry, filled it out for the whole year. So I just kind of backfilled what wasn't in there and have been using this, and it's been working quite well. It's bigger than anything else I'm using right now, but it's slim and it kind of stays on my desk or by my bedside or whenever I want to sit down and like fill out. I use it like a check register. I have 2 accounts that I keep track of, and then like that's like my monthly spread where I sit down and say how much am I paying on my credit cards each month? Am I paying them off? That's kind of sort of thing. So that's kind of what this is, and it's working great for me. I don't know that it needs to be quite this big. I mean, when it's this big, I can write nice and big, but when I had it in my B6, it fit in there too. I just wrote a little bit smaller. So I'm not sure what kind of book I'll use next year. I know I don't want it in my everyday carry because, I mean, it's convenient to have it there, but I'm all about it being light and thin, and this is just going to add bulk. Okay, the last one that I'm using, this is a Hobonichi Weeks. So this came with my original order of my Hobonichi cousin. So this is the N2 size. So again, compared to the Traveler's Notebook size, you can see it's just slightly shorter and just slightly narrower. This is probably one of Hobonichi's most popular planners. You can go on Pinterest and find bazillions of layouts. It's a horizontal layout, and I don't like horizontal, but it has worked quite well for me for tracking food and macros, and so I'm happy with it. I don't know if I'll go with it again next year. What I love is this hardcover, but it is a little smaller than the Sterling ink, and it does also have quotes at the bottom, which make an already small space shrunk a little bit, so that might be the reason I don't. All right, keeping track of steps on this page, keeping track of how much I walk and what kind of exercise I'm doing. So December, it was mostly walking. And January, same thing. I was also putting weights in there, but I've moved that to a different part now, so I don't have that there anymore. Started in February doing some strength training, weightlifting type exercise. I do like measurements and my total miles for the week on the sidebar. And here's March. So I'm doing pretty good at like 3 weightlifting things a week and trying to walk multiple times a week, but some weeks just are busier than others and it's hard to get that in. Or I'm like this day I was driving the whole day, so I didn't get any in. And then stomach bug, we didn't do anything, but we got in one workout. Okay, so there's April. So I'm pretty much staying caught up with all of these things. This section is working really well for me for that. So let's go to the week section. It started in November, end of November, which was wonderful because I got into this immediately and I really liked the layout. I started off like just writing things really big and then having my macros here and then putting my daily averages over on this side. And that worked quite well for me until it didn't. So we'll just kind of go through. You can see some weeks I just didn't take the time to, it was like, this is Christmas. Yeah, I didn't really care. Or I'm eating out at other people's places where I have no way of knowing what they're going to feed me. So you can see that's working. And then I kind of wanted to put more information. So I shrunk everything down and took all of this, everything here, plus this, and moved it to one page. So there's my totals right there. And there's my daily totals, which were daily totals here. And there was the average. And this is just meal totals. So that got moved to there. This is a way to track sleep. Water, I have had a hard time doing water, so I'm kind of not doing that anymore. Different types of exercise, weights. Here's some scales, some graphs for macros, graphs for weight, graphs for steps, graphs for energy level, place to put pictures. So you can see sometimes I'm a little bit better at that. The water's just hard to keep track of personally. But I have been a lot more consistent and I really love seeing this graph and it helps me visualize how well I'm doing or when I need to improve. Like, hello, what's going on there? Oh yeah, I was sick. My calories were down here like 1,100 or less per day, 400 this day. Like seriously, that was pretty rotten time. And you can just see, like, here's a day where I just kind of went crazy. So that I have kept up with pretty well. Sometimes it takes a week or two to, like, fill this in. But as long as this is filled in, I can get the information to graph this. So I don't mind coming back to it later. This is this week. And I have everything in my phone and MyFitnessPal, and I will write it in. I was sitting down and planning everything because when you're doing a cut, you really need to be very conscious of what you're planning, so that you might get your calories right, but your macros will be all over the place. And so now my macros have all grown and they're a little more forgiving. So I'm not worried about it as much. So I just put it in my phone, and then at the end of the day or the end of the week, I'll just fill all this in and graph it, and I'm cool with that. So I'm not ignoring it, but I'm not like in this book as much because it's not as big of a deal. So when you get through all of your weeks, then you get these blank pages after that. And so I'm doing a weekly log of weight averages, measurements, macros, so you can see here's my lines of where my goal is and how close I'm getting to it. And then that was for the cut. And then this is for where I'm at now. I moved everything up. And then I'm guessing I'm going to do another cut again here, maybe, we'll see. And that's ready. If not, I'll just white it out and continue these lines up here for however I want to do it. And then this is kind of fun. This is, I'm just looking at my daily distance that I walk, and my watch keeps track of that for me. And I just enter it in, and I figure out if I was hiking the AT, where would I be on the trail? And so the highlighted things are the shelters that I would be passing. And this is my mileage marker for the AT over here on the side. This is the date, and these are the miles per day. So I'm really writing, I've got this book, which is, my husband's really big on the AT, and this is an old one of his that he didn't want anymore. And so I can just look it up. Like, here's the last one that I did. It'll tell you the mileage here, and wherever I am, like if I'm between here, then I would write this as my final destination because I hadn't quite made it to this one yet. And so these are like your shelters, the dark things, and so that's pretty much what I'm putting in highlighted here. And so he'll be like, hey, where are you on the trail? And I can tell him where I'm at. Some days I'm not walking that much, so it takes a while. I finally made it into the Smoky Mountain National Park, and we're in April, but that's okay, at Gatlinburg. But anyway, I gave myself enough pages to get that finished. So then the rest of the book, what was I going to do with that? Well, I got some routines from now that I'm working out a little bit more in the gym. So these are some routines I can do in the gym. And then I have a friend that we're working out, and we do there's 3 different routines we do during the week. And so we've gotten those figured out. And then this is where I'm tracking it. So here's week 13. I write down like how many weights I did for these numbers correspond to these numbers here. And I can kind of check in with myself, like, how is my plank coming, and am I able to increase the weight, etc. This is a pencil board I got for my Hobonichi weeks. And I am a little bit concerned that I'm going to run out of space here. I did start the blood pressure log graphing here. So I had purchased this. This is from Hobonichi, and these are just these little books that they're designed to go in the back of your weeks and as a way for you to keep track of or expand it a little bit. So hopefully that will be enough to get me through all the exercise I'm doing. I mean, you go on vacation and stuff, and you're not going to the gym, you're not going to track it. So we'll just see how all that works out. I can always get another set of these if I need more. But you can get a Hobonichi Weeks Mega, which has a lot more pages in it. But again, it's thick. I don't want something that's this thick, even though it's a smaller size. I really do like having these slim books because see how thin they are compared. It does make it easier to carry around. So that is my first quarter review. I will show you one more thing, and this is a possibility for next year. It's undated, so who knows what I'll do with it. But this is the Kinbor Weeks, and I thought it was going to be a week size. It's actually a TN size, so it's the Traveler's Notebook size. But I do like how this is set up, and so I'm thinking this might be my weekly and monthly calendar. It doesn't give you very much space in the back, so I would probably get like either a Sterling ink or some of the TN products to put some extra. Where are my extra paper? I guess I've got one here. I could put those in, and it wouldn't make this too horribly thick to have some more pages in there for like my to-dos or whatever. We'll see what I'm working on at that point in time. But again, this was undated, and it was only like $5.49. So it was a nice cheap one. If I never use it, the world won't end. It's not dated. I can put off using it as long as I want, but I'm kind of toying with going the Traveler's Notebook and using small books for things, just because if I want them all together, I can throw them all in a thing like this. It will hold like 4 books. And if I want them thin and separate, I can do that as well. So it kind of gives me the flexibility to have a big chunky book or a thin book without having to change planners. And I'm pretty happy. I know what layouts work for me. So it's not like I'm changing planners because I don't like the layout. It's usually the size that's not working for me. So that's kind of in the works. And I really like this. It's so soft, and I like this navy blue color. So that's kind of what I'm toying with to use in 2026. So thanks for hanging along and going through my first quarter review. I hope that was helpful, and happy planning on your own journey.